Today's San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports is presented by Manscaped, the leaders in below-the-belt products, and you can get 20% off and free shipping by heading to manscaped.com/49ers. Yes, football season is here, and with Labor Day weekend in the rear view, summer is officially behind us, but it's never too late, it's never too early, and it's always the right time to get yourself trimmed up down below the waist. That's where Manscaped comes in. We'll put that link in the comment section and the description of this video. As for what we're talking about on today's show, we are absolutely stacked and loaded. Which 49ers could get paid with new contract extensions, going back to what John Lynch said last week about this team and organization having some conversations with players. We've talked about Nick Bosa, and we'll talk about him again, but there's about 10 other players who could file under that tab. Also, are the 49ers Super Bowl bound? An NFL expert saying he has San Francisco going all the way to the big dance. And could Trey Lance get benched by Jimmy Garoppolo? That's what Peter King thinks is going to happen. As for when, we'll tell you here coming up around the corner. First, though, with this being game week, who do you think gets the dub between the Chicago Bears and the San Francisco 49ers? Week 1 coming your way on Sunday. Of course, we'll be doing a watch party for it. We're a little more than 50 people away from 62,000 subs. Hit that red sub button to join our watch party to get free daily videos on the Niners, but also let us know who wins this game. So John Lynch saying some pretty interesting things last week, that the 49ers are talking to players about contract extensions, but he didn't elaborate on which players they're talking to extend them, to have them as members of this organization. And here's exactly what John Lynch had to say about those contract talks. I'm not going to tell you who, but we're talking to a few players. We will try to pursue that, see if it makes sense for them, see if it makes sense for us. We're always trying to lock up our good players. And as we've continued to talk about here on the show over the last week and really over the last couple of months, even when Deebo Samuel did not land that contract, the most ideal and the most glaring need is to sign Nick Bosa to a contract extension at some point. But I don't think he's going to be the first for a couple of reasons. Yes, he's coming off that 15.5 sack season last year, which was marvelous considering he was coming off a torn ACL. He's going to be in the running if he stays healthy for NFL Defensive Player of the Year. But a reason why Nick Bosa might not get paid soon and other players might beat him to the bag, he has 2 years left on his deal, and in 2023, he's going to be making nearly $18 million after that fifth-year option was exercised. And this is my Nick Bosa updated contract projection. It's more than Aaron Donald in total money, average annual value, and total guaranteed money for a couple of reasons. Nick Bosa as important to the Niners defense as Aaron Donald is to the Rams, but Nick Bosa right now only 24 years old, just entering his prime. Aaron Donald on the back nine of his career. So I think Nick Bosa could get a contract something within this realm, and when it happens, we'll of course let you know. What do you think though? I think the average annual tab for Nick Bosa could escalate $30 million in average annual value. Do you think he's going to get that? Let me know right now in the comment section by giving me a Y for yes or an N for no. As for some of the other players, when I canvassed this roster and looked at it, who could also land contract extensions, who John Lynch may have been talking about, 10 players here, folks. Azeez Al-Shaair, Emmanuel Mosley, Dre Greenlaw, Charles Omenihu, Jimmy Ward, Mike McGlinchey, Robbie Gould, Jawan Jennings, as well as Daniel Brunskill. And I just want to go note for note with some of these players here. And I do want to start off with that linebacking core, led by All-Pro Fred Warner. Going into 2022 with Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, Azeez Al-Shaair, San Francisco could have one of the best and deepest linebacking cores in the NFL. But with a critical year coming up for Greenlaw, as well as Azeez Al-Shaair, San Francisco, when they look at that budget, they might have to decide between one of those two players. As for Emmanuel Mosley, from undrafted free agent to a really solid cornerback who last year in coverage did not give up a single touchdown in coverage. He's really elevated his game and his play, and him flanked next to Charvarius Ward, Mooney Ward. 49ers have the makings of two very good corners on this roster. As for Jimmy Ward, I talked about him over the weekend. For an affordable price, I'm down to bring him back. He too, going into the final year of his deal, if you can get him for between $10 and $13 million for a player who's 30 years old, who was really good last year, named a top 100 player. I think that's an affordable price tag. And then also for two edge rushers on this team who can play outside as an edge, but also switch it up with that NASCAR package and slide to the interior. Charles Omenihu, trade deadline acquisition last year. Samson Ebukam, a free agent acquisition going into 2021. Both of those guys have ability, and I like to see them locked up because we know San Francisco does prioritize building along the offensive and defensive lines. And then with Mike McGlinchey, he too going into the final year of his deal, and he's really been sporadic. The play has certainly been inconsistent and up and down. He has that knee soreness right now, coming off the torn quad. I think that there are better right tackles out there as compared to Mike McGlinchey. Would not surprise me one bit if the 49ers look to upgrade there. As for Robbie Gould, we know that this guy has been money in the playoffs throughout his career and last year with San Francisco. For his career, going all the way back to the Chicago Bears, recent memory with the Niners, 21 for 21, splitting the uprights for Robbie Gould. Robbie Gould has certainly been gold kicking that football. And then Juwan Jennings, valuable slot receiver, but with another team that has a need at wide receiver, he could get paid more so somewhere else, and then you just replace him with Ray McLeod or Danny Gray if you want to go smaller in terms of the height, but faster at that slot spot. As for Daniel Brunskill, final player who we want to discuss here, started every game the last 2 years, going on IR to start the year with that hamstring injury, but does have value as a center guard combo. So going into next year, this video really serves as a foundation as to who might get paid, but also some of the players who might be here, might not be here in 2023. I'll tell you this, though, we're always going to be here on the 49ers Report because when they make a move, we will let you know and we'll cover it. Trying to get to 62,000 subs by Sunday, the start of week 1. We're a little more than 50 people away. You want coverage like this? Just make sure you join the faithful family and hit that red subscribe button down below. Now, this 49ers team and roster, it can really do it all. Rush the passer, defend the pass, send some blitzes home, but also run the football offensively and take the top off of the defense with Trey Lance. Kyle Shanahan has put together a team with John Lynch and Adam Peters that can do it all. Manscaped in the performance package can also do it all for you in the bedroom, but also beyond. And here's the deal, 20% off and free shipping if you head to manscaped.com/49ers. You get the crop preserver, you get the ball deodorant in this performance package, you get the nose hair trimmer, lawnmower 4.0, as well as the boxer briefs. All of these great products available for less than $100. 20% off, free shipping, manscaped.com/49ers. Now, a big reason why a lot of you are here, Peter King, with his NFL predictions, saying something blasphemous, something absolutely ridiculous in my opinion, that Trey Lance is going to get replaced midway through the year by Jimmy Garoppolo. Here's what Peter King had to say in his most recent column. In the midst of all the kumbaya coming out of the, oh, it's great we re-signed Jimmy Garoppolo love fest, I wonder one thing. This is a veteran team that went to battle with Jimmy G late last year, saw him beat the Rams in Week 18, and then watch him be the quarterback and winning playoff games over Dak and Aaron Rodgers. How will George Kittle and Fred Warner and Eric Armstead and Deebo Samuel, all good team guys, react privately if Trey Lance struggles the first month of the season? Will the Niners Leadership Council go to Kyle Shanahan and say, Kyle, come on, we got to win these games? And Peter King's prediction is that Jimmy G replaces Trey Lance Week 7 against the Kansas City Chiefs. So Peter King, he ain't even given Trey Lance, who he sat down with for a sit-down interview back a couple weeks ago, 2 months. He's given him less than 2 months in his first year as a starting quarterback. I think that's ridiculous because you have to give Trey Lance time. As I've always said, he's going to go through some hurdles. There are going to be some peaks and valleys. Trey Lance is going to struggle, and at moments in some games, he's going to look bad. But then he can turn that around by finding Danny Gray, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle on a long touchdown and physically do things that are really, really special. So give him the benefit of the doubt and understand. He played one game his final college season at North Dakota State, played one full season of collegiate football in general for North Dakota State, and has barely played in the NFL. And then number 2, Lance can take care of all of this drama. Lance can keep Jimmy Garoppolo on the sideline if he plays well. I'm not even asking him to play great. I'm asking him to be serviceable. I'm asking him to be accurate. I'm asking him to run this offense and be that dynamic threat that we saw from him at points in some of the action that he got last year, but also at moments throughout this preseason. So Lance, take care of business, and you don't got to worry about Jimmy Garoppolo breathing down your neck. I do want to pose this question for the audience, though, and it might be tricky for some, and some might have a hot take. Who starts more games? Because if Jimmy Garoppolo comes in week 7 like Peter King predicted, he's going to start more games than Trey Lance. JG for Jimmy Garoppolo, TL for Trey Lance. Let me know right now in the comments section. As for the 49ers Super Bowl hopes, a lot of predictions out there that I think are really interesting. Colin Cowherd said that he thinks the Niners, most interesting team in the NFL. Kyle Brandt, NFL Network, thinks the Niners will win the NFC West. And Chris Sims thinks they're going to make it to the Super Bowl and lose to the Kansas City Chiefs. Can you imagine the heartbreak of losing to the Chiefs yet again? Either way, here's what Chris Sims had to say about the Niners Super Bowl chances. I have faith in Kyle Shanahan for sure. Trey Lance is a question. We get that. But the Shanahan tricks are going to be out early. When they play the first 3 games of this year, there's no doubt they're the best team on the field. Week 1 against the Bears, Week 2 against the Seahawks, Week 3 against the Denver Broncos. There's no doubt. Doesn't mean their quarterback is the best, but they're the best team on the field. I could see them getting off to an incredible start. I could really see them being 5-1 after the first 6 games. That's where Jimmy G and the fact that they got him is going to come in and save their ass for sure. They don't need the quarterback to be a superstar. They just need him to be good and not F the game up. Lastly, they're literally in that category, and we've seen that. They've won a lot of games with Jimmy G where you go, he didn't really do anything, but he didn't F it up. Good job by him. He made 1 or 2 throws, and that's all he had to do, and we're good from there. And I think this Niners team is well-positioned. They are well-equipped to make a deep Super Bowl run. A lot of it is going to come down to the play, the success of Trey Lance. If they get average to above average quarterback play, which is what they've gotten from Jimmy Garoppolo, and they're a little bit less efficient, but more explosive with Trey Lance, I think this offense as a whole will be more dangerous in 2022, and they could make it back to the Super Bowl once again. If you think the Niners can go dancing, this is what I want you to do before we hop on out of here for this particular segment. I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. Do that right now, and as always, appreciate all of your support of the San Francisco 49ers Report.